Hello everyone, let's pick up from our volume unit and let's talk about surface area. So surface area is different than volume because you're trying to cover an object. You're trying to find the area of each of the surfaces that make up your object, and you're going to add all those areas together. Now, situations where you may need that, let's say you're trying to paint some type of object that's in the shape of a weird pyramid or prism, and you need to know how much area you're going to need to cover so that you can buy the right amount of paint. Now, if you ever get into manufacturing or advertising, you may have a situation like this, where you have to design some type of cereal box or something like that. You would need to take a look at all of the surfaces that make up your cereal box, and you would need to find the area of each of those and see how much area do I have to work with to create all my designs, and how much is it going to cost me if that's the amount of cardboard that I'm using to create my cereal box. So surface area, you're thinking about all of the surfaces for your shape, and you're adding up each of the areas for those surfaces and putting it all together to get the total surface area. Now again, just like this little cereal box, what you need to think about is the net of your objects. So what I have here, these are 4 different objects, 4 different solids, and each of these we have the net drawn underneath them. We have a cylinder, a hexagonal prism, a square pyramid, and a cone. So we have 2 different types of areas that are going on here. We have something called lateral area and then area of the bases. Now we can identify what the base is in each of these different shapes. The lateral area is the rest of the surfaces. So we need to make sure we know the distinction between lateral area and surface area, because that's going to allow us to find what we need based on the problem. So at the top here, I'm going to write down an important definition, a distinction that you need to know. And that is lateral area versus area of your bases. Okay? Now I'm going to abbreviate lateral area as LA. And then I'm going to call the area of the bases just the bases. Okay. So if I wanted to find the total surface area, which is going to be abbreviated as SA, the total surface area, all of the surfaces added together, I would need to find the lateral area, and then I would need to add whatever area I have for the bases, whether or not it's 1 base or 2 base, whatever it is. Now this is going to be giving me my entire surface area of all of the surfaces. Now let's take a look at these nets, and we're going to identify which of these is the lateral area and which of these would be the area of the bases using the nets. Okay. So take a look at our cylinder. So our cylinder is broken down into its net. Now your bases would be those 2 circles, and we'd find the area of those bases using pi r squared. Now the area of the lateral area, or the lateral faces, however you want to describe it, lateral would be the rest of the shape. So it would be this rectangle once it actually circles over and creates your cylinder. Okay, so I would need to find the area of each of these pieces, and I would have to add it all together. Add it all together to get the total surface area. Now let's take a look at our our hexagonal prism. So again, I'm going to identify the bases. That would be my 2 hexagons. I'd want to find the area of each of those separately. Now I'm going to assume that this is a regular hexagon. So I would find the area by doing that. Area equals 1/2 apothem perimeter. And then I'd want to find the area of each of the lateral faces, which would be all of these rectangles. So I'd want to find the area of each of these rectangles and add it together. Now the total surface area, I'd get all the rectangles, add them together, and then the area of each of my 2 bases, and then add all of that together to get my total surface area. Let's take a look at the pyramid. So again, my base would be that square, that 20 by 20 square. And then my lateral area would be the rest of the surfaces. So, for instance, this triangle on the top here, a triangle on the right, triangle along the bottom, triangle along the left. So each of those would be considered my lateral faces. And I would have to use the formula for each of those triangles as area equals 1/2 lowercase base times height. All right, so I would add all of those together once I find it. And lastly, I have this cone. Now for the cone, my base is that circle, and I'm going to find the area by using pi r squared. And then the area of that curved portion, that would be considered my lateral area. So I'd want to find the area of this curved portion, and then we would add it all together in order to get total surface area. Now I've cleared off all of that highlighting, and the only two things that we really need to go over is how you would find the area of the curved portion for a cylinder, and then how you'd find the area of the curved portion of a cone. Everything else you already know. Everything else is broken down into rectangles or triangles or regular polygons using the formula 1/2 apothem perimeter. But these two curved portions, that's something that you probably don't know. So I'm going to go over that. And then we're going to do some practice problems. Okay, so going back to our graphic organizer, for surface area of a regular old prism, we're just going to write down that to get your surface area, you're going to find the lateral area, whatever rectangles it is that comprise your lateral area, and then you're going to add the area of your bases, each of your two bases, because we have two bases for a prism. Now taking a look at your cylinder. Now the cylinder you don't really know yet, so this is an important one to take some notes on. For a surface area of a cylinder, you're going to get the lateral area, and again the area of your two bases, which are circles. And this is how we're going to find each of those pieces. Okay, so for lateral area, the curved portion of your cylinder, that's the curve. The way that you're going to find that is by doing 2 pi r h. 2 times pi times the radius, which basically gives you the circumference, that's what 2 pi r is, times the height of your cylinder. And then for your bases, we have two circles, so we're going to put 2 times the area of one circle, which is pi r squared. So this is the formula for surface area. Get the lateral area, the curved portion, which is 2 pi r h, and then add the area of each of your bases. And each of your bases is a circle, so it's going to be pi r squared. And we have 2 of them. Okay, now let's take a look at a pyramid and a cone. All right, so let's look at the cone first, actually. So for the cone, surface area, again, you're going to write down you have to find the lateral area, and then you have to find the area of your base. Here we only have one base. And we're going to find the lateral area using a formula called let me erase that. It's pi r L. And we'll talk about the L in a second. And then you're going to add the area of your base, which is a circle. So it's just going to be pi r squared. Now that pi r L, that's pi times the radius times the slant length or slant height. So in your diagram, this is L. So you're going to do pi times the radius times that slant length. Sometimes you're not given the slant length, so you're going to have to find it. And last two things that we're going to talk about, pyramid and a sphere, which I may have mentioned before, but let's start with the pyramid. Again, I'm going to write down my surface area is lateral area plus my one base, because it's a pyramid. We have one base and one apex. So for this, my lateral area, those are just going to be a bunch of triangles. So you're just going to have to find the area of each of the triangles and then add them all up. And then for your base, again, it depends on your base shape. So whatever area formula you have for your base shape. So I'm going to write down that it depends on base shape. So you have to know how to find the area of every type of regular shape. You have to know how to find the area of a trapezoid, how to find the area of a triangle, a rectangle, a square, any type of regular polygon. So all of those area formulas you need to know. Right? And now the last one for your sphere. Sphere is very simple. Okay, we are going to find the surface area. There is no lateral area. You just have the whole surface. Think of this like a basketball, and you'd want to figure out how much leather you need to create the basketball. You find the surface area by doing 4 pi r squared. And that's the formula for surface area of a sphere. And if you have a hemisphere, which is half of a sphere, right? So this is my great circle here. This is my half sphere up above. You would just be doing 1/2 of the 4 pi r squared, which is basically 2 pi r squared. Okay, so check back. We're going to look at part 2 of this video where we do some practice problems that you have to take down in your notes that you are prepared for class. All right, so see you in a bit.